What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Luco, man. We're gonna do something a little bit different this time. What we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about prison tattoo work, how it's made, how uh, inmates do it, the procedure. I'll let you know without giving a whole lot away. I don't want to help the people catch the guys. Even though I've changed, I'm not a hypocrite. All right. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about, first off, let's just say I had a little bit of money this week, or work was good in prison, and I wanted a tattoo. So now, me personally, I got a lot of my work free. I'll talk about that here in a little while. But say I didn't know nobody and I just wanted to get a tattoo. So I'd ask somebody first, who's the tattoo guy. I'd look around. I might look at some of his work that he already has on skin or whatever, and I'd try to approach him if I had to be introduced or whatever. And also, when you're doing this, you want to stay inside your own race. It's kind of important. But so I'd approach him and I'd talk prices. A lot of times you just say half sleeve. They'd quote you on a half sleeve, which means like half sleeve from here to here. You know what I mean? Or from my elbow down to my wrist. So you'd say, well, how much for a half sleeve? He might say $50. And I'm not just saying that. I've heard of that being a price. Sometimes if they're real good, they might say $75. Okay, well, how do you want it? Will you make me a list? Okay. And then you pick him up the canteen. He can either wait till canteen hits or he can go ahead and do it for you. That's kind of up to him, and you kind of got to go by whatever he says at that point. So, okay. So, canteen comes in. You give the tattoo guy the list of canteen. He might say, all right, go get me a lighter. I've had them talk about that, needing lighters. And the reason they need a lighter is if I had one of them old lighters, I'd show you. What they do to make the needle is, and you want to make sure you watch that guy make that needle in prison. That's very important. You don't want to mess around with none of that. So he'll say, go get me a lighter. Then you get it. You stretch the spring out that's inside of the lighter as far as you can. And what you do is you hold another lighter flame on it, and it'll stretch out into a like straight as an arrow. Then you use that, you break it to make it sharp, and then he'll put that on the end of his tattoo motor and his barrel, they call it in prison also. And the reason I know so much is I dabbled and I thought I was a pretty good artist in school, so I thought, okay, I can do this, so that's why I know so much. I didn't end up doing it for a long time, but that's how I know so much. So you get the spring. Normally they got their own barrel. If not, you'll have to give them an ink pen and they'll make one out of an ink pen. You get the spring, you put it inside of your ink, the little tube to feed the ink. You put that down in there. And what they use for a motor in prison, well, when I was there, I first got locked up, they were still selling tape decks in prison. That was in 2010. Then soon after, they stopped that altogether, and it was only CD players. So you would get the motor out of your CD player or your tape deck, and you would wire it to batteries, or in some rare cases, they had a power supply, a power source, and that's how you ran it. You put your needle on the end of the motor, like stake that comes out. You got to make this little plastic piece that you put your needle on so that the motor spins the needle and makes a tattoo gun. I mean, you got to think it's an ink pen that you're holding and a motor on the end of it, and it's just circulating back and forth. You make a little tube, and it's actually the inside of an ink pen tube for your like ink feed. And then you put your needle right through that. You make sure it's at the right depth. Then you're ready. So, next thing you're going to need is some ink. Okay? This is going to sound crazy to you guys, but it's a true story. So, in order to get ink, you would burn soot. And to burn the soot, you would literally make a soot burner, and you would burn either Vaseline or baby oil. And what you would do is you would just burn that away, and it would create a soot on top of, like, what I would do is I'd put cardboard boxes all the way around it, and the soot would collect on the top of that cardboard box, sometimes on the sides. I'd scrape it all off. And then what we were doing right there at the end is we were using deodorant. We put the deodorant in and squeeze it out to get the alcohol out of it. And we'd mix that alcohol in with the ink, and it would make a good dark black ink. There's only one color when I was in prison, and it was black, as you can see. So, um, so now you got your ink. You put it inside of it, whatever you prefer, a soda cap or whatever, and you sit down and you get your tattoos. Okay, so when you're doing this, sometimes you had to provide your own busmen, but a lot of tattoo guys have their own busmen that they trust, and you would have to pay them too sometimes. If you couldn't bring one that he trusts, you're paying his bus man. That's all there is to it. And what a bus man is it's a guy that sits at the door and lets y'all know if there's a cop coming in. He has to be alert at all times, man. And as soon as the cop either leaves the rotunda and starts coming into your wing, or as soon as the cop opens the wing door, it lets y'all know, hey, one time. And there's different code words in every wing I've ever been in. They've had a different code word for when the cops come, because cops don't like that whoop 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 when they come through the door. Believe me, and in some cases they'll write guys up for that. I've been in some wings where we'd one time. I've been in other wings where we said swale. I have still to this day have no idea what that means. Swale. So if a cop comes through the door, he'll let you know. You'll clean up. In some cases, you'll walk outside of his cell. And in other cases, you'll just sit there and act like you know what you're doing. You'll put your shirt on or whatever you have to do, and you'll cover up. The cop walks by. As soon as that wing door closes, back to work. The bus man's back at the door, and you guys are rolling, you know. In some cases, it would take, for a half sleeve man, like all week to get this done. Now, in some cases, some of them guys in prison are quick, man. And in some cases, it'd just be 2 or 3 nights, that you'd be doing this in order to get it done. And believe me, as you can see, a lot of guys that are in prison get tattoo work, some better than others. Me, I got a lot of junk on me, but I had a buddy that that decided he was going to tattoo. He was an awesome artist. And I want to start by saying there are a lot of talented artists in prison. I mean, some of the work would absolutely blow your mind. They're so talented, some of them. So anyway, my buddy decided he wanted a tattoo. So I wasn't his first test dummy, but I was close up in the list. His name was Rodeo. And he ended up doing work on a lot of men in the penitentiary, man. He ended up getting really, really, really good. He did everything on me from this wrist all the way up. And he got me good all the way up. And then he did all of this with the goblin licking, all of this. He covered up the best he could with that. That's right there is where my patch was at, my FV patch. And he did my whole chest, man. And then when I got over here, I was just done at that point. So I had him cap it off right here so that I knew I'd have somebody go back into it. You know what I mean? Which I eventually did, because I told him this was my kid's arm. I'd actually had these 2 tattoos before I got to prison. These are the only 2 I had. And that one says Chloe, and that one says Cole. And those are my babies, guys. And then for what I did for them is I put, if you can't see it, it says Daddy's Angels. And I just made a half sleeve for them only. I didn't want all this spooky looking stuff around my babies. You know what I mean? That was important to me, so I made him stop. And then later on, I started getting close to going home, actually, which I had already had some other stuff done too. I'd had my back done. That's from my buddy Adam House. He died of an overdose. and it says Adam Earl House, and it's the dates when he passed away, and it says always got my back. And Adam does always have my back, for sure. I hope he likes it, man. If you're looking at me, buddy, hope you like it. So then I did this right down here for my grandma's. It says Granny's Boys. It says Granny's Boy Forever. And then it's got my grandma Pauline right there. She died in 2012. And then my grandma Janie in 2013. They both died when I was in prison. But I know they're looking down on me, seeing me doing good right now. They see that I'm 7 years clean, and I'm doing it all for you guys. Well, not and myself, right? And then I got this. If y'all can see, this is probably the best tattoo on me, man. It's hard to see. It's Chucky. I know it's sideways. It's Chucky. What I was gonna do was put Jason, Freddy, and all of them down my leg, but man, I don't know if that guy was deep or what, but that hurt. So I had to pay for that one on the back of my leg, and I think the guy who did this was either somebody else's tattoo duck. I think I paid $10 for that whole half sleeve, if that tells you anything. And I remember not paying him. I remember paying it to the homie. Anyway, lots of crazy stuff happens in prison, y'all. And then I also, on my feet here, this is how crazy I was when I first got locked up, is on my feet, I got 10. I'm not going to show you because I can't lift my legs up that high anymore. But I got 1049 on my ankles. That's the police code for a fight in the penitentiary. I used to think I was tough or something, but I'll tell you, there's always that guy out there, y'all. If you ain't lost a fight, you ain't no fighter. That's what my dad always said anyway. But anyway, y'all, so prison tattoos, they try to stop everybody from doing it. They try as much as they can, but it's hard. They would have to take out all things with motors completely, and then all ways of making needles, because these guys are going to figure it out. Believe me. I mean, they're very, very talented men in prison. That's why I'd like to try to set up some kind of a come home house, man. That's why I'm doing all this, y'all. So please like and subscribe, and if you do, I swear I'll pay it forward. And I do believe that I could help. It's going to mean more coming from a guy like me that's been sober than some doctor that really don't care. It's just there for a paycheck. You know what I mean? So anyway, y'all, this is Luco, MX. Please like and subscribe. And that's it, y'all.